I'm the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So I recently finished putting together all of Tracy's Drukhari and got them primed up and ready to play and whatnot. And I ended up with a lot more kabalites than witches in the end. So I guess I'm using mainly kabalite forces for the most part here going forward. I don't know that much about Drukhari though, so we're going to start off a game today where we put a bunch of kabalites against a bunch of Cadian shock troops. They both have guns at a 2-foot range and are rapid fire, so it should be an interesting little shooting experience. This is a raider out of the combat patrol box. It's been an interesting thing. I really like the contrast of the colors there. It's nice that they have open-topped vehicles because these guys definitely are going to want to shoot. Unfortunately, we're not using this raider, but I do look forward to games where we have lots of raiders and just cruising around shooting people from the top of it like a Jabba the Hutt kind of thing. Should be nice. So here we have the Cadian force. We have a Cadian command squad, a commissar, and then 4 mostly identical squads of Cadian shock troops. They all have radio guys, a flamethrower, a grenade launcher. The only thing different really is what the commander has. One has an auto gun, the other 3 all have chainswords. 2 of those guys have pistols, 1 doesn't, so just pretty standard Cadian loadout, I guess. I'm not rooting for these guys, so here we have Tracy's Drukhari, led by an Archon, and he has a squad of incubi there in the back. 4 mostly identical squads of kabalite warriors. 3 of them have a blaster and a shredder, and then 7 guys with their guns. The other one has a dark lance, and then 8 guys with their guns. What the hell is that thing called? A Sybarite, I think. The book's sitting right over there, and I could go look, and I'm just not going to. Looks like 3 guys with swords, 2 guys with blast pistols, 1 with a splinter pistol, and then a guy with an agonizer. I think that's a splinter pistol. So yeah, this should be a happy little experience. Obviously, I'm hoping these guys win. Yeah. Alright, so they're gonna have 1 on this side, 1 on this side, 3 feet away from edge to edge, so roughly 2 feet from group to group once they get into position, I suppose. No real point to this one except just to outshoot the other side. I'm looking forward to this actually because I do like to just shooting only kind of battles. Incubi are going to be out there trying to murder people, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to set these guys up. We're going to start the fun. Alright, so looking down the row here, we got a squad of kabalites, and then the incubi, the archon, and the other 3 squads of kabalites. So on this side we have Cadian shock troops, the commissar, more shock troops, the command squad, and then the last 2 shock troops. Alright, so the guard actually won the little roll off here, so they're going to go first. So I don't know how much movement they're going to do, but I'm going to do some measurements and then probably move them enough to put them in range. Alright, so pretty much everybody had to move forward in order to be at least in range for the entire squad to be in range. They all moved forward. They're 6 for the most part. No psychers, because this ain't about psychers. So the shooting phase. This will be enjoyable, I believe. Well, that was some pretty successful Cadian guard shooting. The commissar there didn't really have any applying to the current situation orders to give. So these guys just shot like normal. Both of these groups combined shot into one group of kabalites. The group down here on the edge, they managed to kill off 3 of those guys. So the Acadian command squad gave the group to their immediate right the take aim order. Those guys shot at the kabalites across from them, killing off 4 of them, which was pretty amazing actually. Then the shock troops on the far right there shot at the kabalites directly across from them, killing off 3. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. They killed like 10 guys straight out. So no melee for these guys. Then we get the Drukhari turn. Alright, so everybody moved up with the exception of the incubi. They advanced forward. I know I forgot to mention this at the beginning when I was doing the intro, but these guys are the Cabal of the Poison Tongue. When we go to the shooting phase here in a second, that means that all of their poison weapons get to reroll 1s during the wound phase. Maybe that'll help against these guys, so... no psychos for Drukhari. I guess I have to make up for just being mean to everybody. Shooting phase for these guys. Well, their Cabal trait or whatever didn't really assist them too much in this endeavor. So all the kabalites shot at the Acadian shock troops across from them. So the group closest to us killed 1 shock troop. The next group up killed 1 shock troop up. Surprisingly, the group with the least amount of kabalites actually killed the most shock troops. They killed 2. And then the group at the far end killed 1. The incubi are way too far away to charge, and they advanced, so they don't get to do that this turn. So that'll make it the Imperial Guard's turn again. I don't think any of these guys really want to move since the Drukhari keep getting closer. These guys can just stay where they are. And we'll just go to shooting, I guess. So far, this game reminds me a lot of those Revolutionary War battles that you see on depicted in movies, I guess, where each side kind of marches up to a distance away and then they just start shooting each other. And eventually, each side gets worn down enough that people just start rushing in to beat each other to death with their guns or put bayonets or something like that. Because that's kind of, I feel, how this is going, since each group is pretty much shooting at the group across from them. Now, granted, one of those groups in this case happens to be some incubi, and they did lose a guy. But everybody else pretty much, Kabalite-wise, lost at least 2 dudes. So I think the Imperial Guard are just shooting really, really well today. Probably because I'm letting them use the Necron dice. That's always my mistake. Letting other people besides Necron use the Necron dice, but I digress. Even though that's probably the reason. Yeah, the Drukhari are getting shot to shit. Still no charging from the Imperial Guard side, so we'll go back to the Drukhari and see what they want to do here. Alright, so the incubi have moved up to get closer to the shock troops to start swinging their claves around. Okay, yeah, everybody else just pretty much moved up to get to closer range for the rapid fire bonus. Archon just moved up underneath the thing to give his bonus away. And these guys also all pretty much just moved up closer to get within 12 for the rapid fire. Okay, so happy Drukhari shooting. Alright, so the Kabalites pretty consistently killed 1 guy. I think 1 group actually killed 2. Shooting's not going as well as I expected it to. But, I mean, I'm sure that these guys do a much better job when they're shooting from the back of a raider. That'll probably get explored in the next video. Alright, well, there indeed is a charge here. Alright, so these 4 remaining incubi are going to charge into the Acadian shock troops in front of them. Hopefully this goes well and they just rip them all to shreds. That's my hope. Alright, well, the incubi made their charge, suffered no damage in Overwatch, and then just completely eviscerated the shock troops. So even if their shooting game isn't going the greatest, their cut people apart with big swords game is going pretty well. Unfortunately, that will make it the Imperial Guard turn. Let's see. Bet none of these people want to move, to be honest with you, looking at it. So we'll just go straight into the shooting phase. Alright, well, there was a lot of shooting, and unfortunately, the group directly behind the pipe lost 2 people, and the group to the right of the pipe lost, I think, 1 person. So their shooting is slowing down here. There will be a charge for these guys. So the Commissar and the Cadian shock troop grouped in there are both going to charge into the incubi. This ought to be interesting. So originally when I was thinking about what I was going to do here for troop choices and whatnot, I had thrown in the Commissar just to help give extra orders. And I was like, what am I going to do for elites for Drukhari? Oh, I know. We'll just throw some incubi in there. They can just watch. And here we are. So the Commissar made it in, as did the shock troop guys. The Clayvex by himself just completely killed the Commissar. And then the other 3 incubi killed 5 of the shock troops. So while the guns of the kabalites aren't really doing a whole lot, the incubi seem to be doing great. They seem to be having a blast. I'm certainly having a blast watching them just carve up the Acadians like it's Thanksgiving dinner at Drukhari World. Like, it's super impressive. Okay, that'll, all of that being said, we'll go to the Drukhari turn. Alright, so the fresh squad with the Dark Lance and the Archon just got closer to the incubi area. Nobody else moved. So the Drukhari shooting phase. Hopefully these guys do a little better this time. Alright, this round is more like what I expected these guys to do, like, in the beginning parts of the game. So these 2 squads of Kabalites managed to annihilate the squad that used to be there, here. They are no longer there. They are dead. Alright, so the Sybarite with his pistol was the only one that could shoot into the Acadian shock troops that are currently in combat. He did kill one of them. But the rest of them couldn't shoot at those guys because they weren't a pistol, so they shot at the next nearest legal target, which was the Acadian command squad. They wiped them out. They no longer exist. It was a fun day for them, but now they have gone to Cadia, I guess. That great big hole in the sky. Alright, so no charges, but the incubi are probably going to completely destroy the sergeant there, so I feel sometimes like Tracy's looking down at her Drukhari and being like, you guys need to do better, because it feels like these guys got a second win somewhere. Acadian shock troops probably don't have much of a defense against murdering psychopaths with big swords. Either way, the Clayvex went ahead and just killed the sergeant guy by himself because he can. Interesting. Well, that'll leave one slightly full squad of shock troops left. And it is their turn. They're not going to move or nothing like that. They're just going to shoot. Alright, so the shock troops dumped everything they had into that squad on the far right, and they killed all but the Sybarite, which was probably a mistake. Well, that'll make it to Drukhari turn. See if these guys can actually finish these guys off this turn, or if they gotta wait for the incubi to come in and charge. That'll never stop being funny. Alright, so the incubi and the Archon have advanced to get really close. Well, not really close, but closer than they were. The kabalites that were on the other side of the pipe are now on this side. Those guys are probably going to charge. And then the full, fresh, happy group of kabalites that's come in just behind it. They just moved. They didn't advance. They just moved. And I did measure in there, all actually within the 24-inch range to shoot, so Cadians might be screwed this turn, so we'll see how it goes in the shooting phase. So after a whole lot of furious shooting from the kabalites, there are now only 3 Cadian shock troops. So since the incubi advanced to get where they are, they cannot charge, but the 2, the Sybarite and the remaining remains, I guess, of the other squad of kabalites, both of those guys are going to charge into the shock troops for the charge and fight phase. We'll see how this goes. Alright, those groups made their charges. Nobody died from Overwatch. And the Sybarites managed to kill off the remaining 3 Cadian shock troops with their Power Sword and Agonizer. So yeah, the Drukhari win. Lost a whole lot of guys to do it, and they really needed a lot of help from the incubi to take some of those guys out. But they did it, so yeah. It was a good test of the shooting thing. They weren't really getting a lot of kills in the beginning, but they were kind of winnowing them down in the same way that the guard were kind of slowly chipping away at Drukhari. The incubi definitely made a difference. That was enjoyable. Probably in a game or two we'll do something with kabalites in the back of Raiders. I'm thinking next game will probably be, though, to see how many Ravagers it takes to destroy a Baneblade. We'll see how it goes on that one, I don't know. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. I got a new job starting soon, so hopefully that'll help motivate me to make more videos and get more videos done and stuff. I know just the thought of going back to work has already motivated me to go back and start painting some stuff again and putting the rest of my stuff together, so hopefully my 1,000 Suns will get a decent boost after I get all of those guys put together. Either way, y'all have a good day, and thanks for watching. Later on.